What's good, everybody? Welcome to LA Clipper Talk. I'm your host, BJ Matthews, aka B Jizzle. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the share, hit the subscribe, hit our Cash App, $ Slick Rick 1991 son, $ Slick Rick 1991 son, our Venmo at BJ/MATHUWS/1. And we have our super stickers and super comments that are available. Make sure you guys subscribe and make sure y'all donate to us at your own discretion for this great content. Let's get it popping. All right, so let's get this out the way. I apologize for the setting. I'm in the car driving to the gym. I got some time, about another 25 minutes, so I get there where I'm supposed to be at. So I thought I'll be able to do a video for y'all real quick. I know it's not StreamYard. I wasn't able to do it last night, so I'm gonna do it right now to get it out the way, get my analysis to y'all, what I thought about the game. Now, there's some things I want to talk about that I liked yesterday, and there's some things I got some concerns and improvements and things of that nature that we need to, talk and be addressed about. Now, the Clippers won the game 119, so I believe 116 yesterday against the Denver Nuggets, or 113 if I'm not mistaken, 1-2. We won at the nail biter. The three guys that were shown off were James Harden, Norman Powell, and Ivica Zubac for us. Now, let me talk about Denver real quick, because I'm going to have a separate video about them, because I know a lot of people are talking about them. They're in trouble. I predicted this before the season started, that Denver was going to fall off somewhere between that 5th and 6th, maybe even play-in situation, because not only did they lose KCP, but they've been losing key pieces over the last couple of seasons of their championship caliber team. They lost Bruce Brown. They lost Jeff Green. They lost KCP. Three great rotational players for the Denver Nuggets that helped build up Jokic, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., right? So when you lose three of those caliber players on your championship caliber team, you're going to probably take a back seat. Jokic, from what I'm hearing now, is having to do everything, and he has no help. That's what I'm hearing now after we beat them yesterday. But in the same breath, people used to talk about how great Jokic is and he can do it all by himself. I'm starting to see what I was hearing back in 2022 for the Denver Nuggets, where Jokic was by himself and nobody else was helping, when they didn't have Jamal Murray there. I told y'all about Jokic. Jokic is a great overall offensive player, but his inability to play defense on the other side, he needs more assistance to help elevate his team. Because if you don't have pieces around Jokic that help him out on defense, that hit shots from the perimeter, things of that nature, you're going to have a guy who's going to get put out in the first round every single year, or get swept or gentleman swept. So the Nuggets are definitely in a position where they're in trouble, but I'm not surprised. I thought they were a one-hit wonder anyway. But I digress from that. It's about the Clippers. Yesterday, the Clippers went to Denver, which is still a tough place to play at with the elevation, with the high altitude, right? Hard to breathe up there the first few minutes of the game. They went up there and got a very good win, a confidence booster, and something that I think they needed to see for them to, understand, okay, this is going to be a long season, but we can do this, until our big dog gets back. I'm talking about Kawhi Leonard. Now, what I saw yesterday and what I'm going to continuously see is that we're definitely going to rely on our defense as our identity. Over the offseason, we picked up a bunch of guys who were more so defensive-oriented, more than offense, and we picked up a defensive coach in Jeff Van Gundy. Now, let me tell you the things I like and these things I'm concerned about. What I'm liking is, I told y'all the other video that we need to start working from the inside out, not the outside in. What does that mean? Zubac's our big man, is our center on the team. He went 12 for 17 yesterday, had 21 points, he had 15 rebounds. We have to establish that Zubac right now, he's shooting 60% from the field right now, off of the first two games. We have to be able to create instant offense, and I think Zubac is the guy, with James Harden being the pick and roll guy with Zubac, who can be a consistent offensive threat against opposing teams. Let me explain. Zubac being able to have that game against Jokic yesterday, was the MVP of the league. That's going to only improve his confidence when he faces other centers around the league, like a Karl-Anthony Towns, like a Domantas Sabonis, like a Victor Wembanyama, like a Joel Embiid, like a Yusuf Nurkic, who he just faced the other night. When he faces Anthony Davis, when he faces other bigs or centers, his confidence is going to be like, okay, I did this to Jokic. I had a great game against Jokic. I can continuously do this over and over. We're going to need Zubac. We're going to need Norman Powell. We're going to need James Harden to lead the charge until everybody else comes back. Kawhi comes back. So I said to myself, let's work through Zubac instead of trying to shoot all these perimeter three-point shots, taking us out of our rhythm and having bad shooting, inefficient games. Because check this out, Denver is not a great offensive. They're not a great three-point shooting team. They lost two of their guys who were snipers, KCP and Bruce Brown, off the bench. And their bench ain't that good. So you can afford to make those mistakes against probably Denver. And Phoenix, to me, they're a better team, but they turn the ball over. They're careless with the ball their damn selves. And I'm going to make another video about this. The Western Conference is not as strong as people claim it is. Guys, as I look through the whole Western Conference, there's not really a team, if we have Kawhi Leonard on the court, that we can't beat. So I'm starting to see that a lot of these teams are middle in the pack teams, but that's another discussion. Zubac has to be the instant offense for this team starting off games. Starting off, not finishing, starting off games. Because he's not a good free throw shooter. We have to be able to get the ball rolling. I think Zubac's the best person to go through. Let's talk about this. Norman Powell. Shout out to Norm. Shout out to the 619. UTG. Understand the grind. Lincoln High School. Southeast. All that. If you know, you know. Norm. Let me tell y'all about Norm, bro. Norman Powell grew up in the same neighborhood I did in Southeast San Diego. His coach, his high school coach, was my AAU coach back in the day. I know Norm very well. Norman Powell is the type of person, I'm not even talking about player, the type of person, he puts in work in the off season like no other. He knows what his role is, he knows what he's about. He has an underground mentality. He wasn't drafted high in the NBA draft. He had to go all 4 years in college at UCLA. He's not a high top recruit, so he had to always, get the underground mentality. He had to go to the G League. He's built himself up to be a very, very good NBA player at this point. And it just came from simply hard, organic, old-fashioned work. So when you see a 37-point performance by him yesterday, just understand he earned that shit. He worked for it. He puts in the time in the summertime. So he shot 14 for 21 yesterday, and he had 22 points in the fourth quarter. That all them points we needed against Denver, because Jokic had 7 3-pointers. We had 41 points yesterday. Jokic he did everything he could to win that game offensively. But Norman Powell's spark is what led us to that win. Now, my question is this. Can he do that consistently? Because I've seen this from Norm, where even last year he would have crazy games where he had like 25 to 30 points off the bench, especially early on in the season. And then he goes into like a drought where he just, he can't even buy a bucket. And that's expected against jump shooting players or high offensive players. You're not going to be efficient all the time. He's came out and said at media day he wants to be the starting on the team. If he keeps playing like this, Ty Lue's going to start him, because Ty Lue likes Norman Powell anyway. He likes offensive-minded guards, which that's what Norman Powell is. So he definitely showed himself out to be who he's supposed to be on the court. But can he continuously do that with Kawhi out and with Paul George gone? Because, see, this is what we're going to have to ask him to do. Can you average 25 to 30 points a game consistently while being a good, at least, I'm not even talking about elite, at least a good two-way player? Can you do that? Because if you can't, it's going to be very tough for us to continuously have this streak going, especially against good teams. We got Golden State later tonight. They're 2-0. We got Steph Curry. We got Draymond Green. We got Andrew Wiggins. We got Jonathan Kuminga. We got the whole crew. They're playing out their mind right now. They beat the Portland Trailblazers, I believe, like by 40 points, or Utah by 40 points. So they're going to be at home. They're going to be very, very psyched for the challenge. So coming off this back-to-back, and it's early in the season, and playing up against that high octane offense, they better be ready to go. Now, I already see that we're not going to have guys just be consistently great offensively. That's not what we have on this team. It's going to have to be, one night it might be Norman Powell. Next night might be Amir Coffey. Norman he went 5 for 16 the other night. It's just going to be a lot of, inconsistent, where he's going to be having a great stretch here, and he may have a bad stretch here. So it's going to have to be by committee. It's going to have to be done by defense. It's going to have to be done by sharing the basketball, which I'm going to bring y'all to James Harden, who had 23 and 16 yesterday. Or what do you have, 23 or 21 and 16 yesterday? James Harden, I said after game 1, he shot entirely too many shots. He shot 28 shots against Phoenix. That's entirely too many shots for 30 points. You need to understand you're not in the position you were in Houston because a few things have changed. You don't have the heavy whistle like you had in Houston, which means you can't go to the free throw line every single possession and draw fouls. One thing I saw from yesterday, he was looking for the foul numerous amount of times. Refs ain't calling that like they were back in the day. And that's going to be bad because he had 7 turnovers yesterday. 7. He had 8 against Phoenix, which is not a great defensive team. You got 7 against Denver, who's an average team at best. How you turn the ball over so much when against average teams? What's going to happen when you play defensive teams that are really going to be on your ass? So he's not going to be getting those foul calls like he was against in Houston. He doesn't have the same burst of speed like he did in Houston, meaning he can just get by defenders off of his handle. Now it's more so he has to take a lot more dribble. He has to use a lot more screens to get to his spots. But what I'm seeing from Harden, again, like he did yesterday, he'll have a screen set for him by Zubac, and Zubac will set the screen, and Harden will keep the defender on his hip and shoot that little mid-range shot. That's what Harden will do now. That's the way I think he's going to generate a lot of points in the mid-range. Harden with the basketball, let me just tell y'all this. Harden with the basketball, even to this day, is a top 5 person with the ball in his hands. You got Luka, you got LeBron, you got Jokic, and I think Harden's just right there as well. With the ball in his hand, his IQ is elite. He's the only person I can see can give you, 30-some points and also give you 15 assists with it. Right? So offensively with the ball in his hands, he is a magician with the ball, especially in the regular season. But I'm just telling y'all, this ain't the same Houston James Harden. He's older. He's 5-6 years older. So that's why I was happy how he played yesterday. He had 11 shots. He didn't have 25. He didn't have 28. He didn't have 30 shots. He wasn't looking tired and gassed. He looked like his energy was, kept under control. So this may be a game tonight against Golden State where he goes off offensively. Right? This may be a game where he conserved his energy. So I like what I saw from James Harden. I like what I saw from Norman Powell and Visca Zubac. But let me tell you what I didn't like. Kevin Porter Jr. is going to have to start coming along to the party. He shot 2 for 7 yesterday. Had, I think, 4 points. Or 2 for 10, he had 4 points. Now, let me just give him some grace. Kevin Porter Jr. last year in the overseas played 5 games. He didn't play a whole season. So when you talk about a player like that who ain't really played basketball at that high degree, he's gonna have a lot of rust on him. Pause. So he's our backup point guard, giving us 3 points a game right now. We didn't bring you we didn't bring you here not to be able to put the ball in the basket. But the Clippers obviously have trust in him to put him over Bones Highland, who I thought if he keeps if Kevin Porter Jr. keeps playing like this, just go ahead and take him out and put Bones in that spot, please, because you can't play as worse as Kevin Porter Jr. has been playing. And at least Bones, especially against Denver, we've seen in the past, he destroys Denver. Right? He has an axe to grind with them because of that whole Jamal Murray thing. But KPJ with 4 points, man, come on. And then your offense is taking us out the game, you know, with your turnovers and your bad decision making. But they're giving him a long leash. I think KPJ has the potential to get his game up, but at the same time, if he keeps having bad games like this, you need to pull him out, because Bones has been with the team longer, and we've seen Bones have explosions, not just in the regular season but in the playoffs as well. So I just think you gotta treat KPJ just like Bones. If he's not playing well, sit his ass down. So Bones, KPJ, who else am I thinking of? Chris Dunn had a pretty solid game last night. He had 11 points. He in itself is a player that's aggressive, but he has to watch getting all them fouls too. He damn near fouled out yesterday. Him and Terrence Mann got to be able to watch themselves in them personal fouls. They're the same person. Terrence Mann's more athletic. I think Chris Dunn's a better offensive shooter, but they have the same role on this team, and that's to be a on-ball defender. Thank you. So, like I said, bro, we got a lot of things to look forward to. We got Golden State tonight. It's going to be a tough one up there, and we got to see how we perform. And then we got a back-to-back next week against Portland and Phoenix again at the Intuit Dome, which I'll be at those two games as well. But I just think, again, the question is going to have to be is, can we obtain this offense for, how long can we obtain this offense for? You know, can Norman Powell be a spark for us throughout the rest of the season? And can he be a good two-way player? Because let me tell you something, Harden and Norman Powell in the backcourt, that's a defense, a high-tower offense like Golden State. Steph's going to probably have an explosion tonight. Unless, you know, you might put Derrick Jones Jr. on him or something. But he's Steph Curry at the end of the day. He's going to generate buckets. But the issue is, when you have an offense that's not doing much at the guard position for us, and you got to go out on the other side and guard, that's going to be a problem. Yesterday, we didn't have that issue because Jamal Murray ain't a great defender. So James Harden got what he wanted, especially in penetration. But it's an 82-game season. We only play 2 games. And we have to look at, we got a 10-game road. I think we got, after those 2 games against Portland and Phoenix, I think we have, if I'm not mistaken, OKC, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I think we have OKC coming up after that. But great win yesterday. Very, very happy that we got the dub. I'm about to hit this gym, man. I'll be back on later tonight, probably dropping a video, or tomorrow morning dropping a video about the game against the Warriors. See how that happens. And yeah, till next time, pull up, pull up, check, pull up, pace. Out of here like swimwear.